Hi, I'm Glenn Simpson, and I've collected comics for over 40 years. Now I'm showing off my collection one box at a time. Today, let's make sure, we're looking at box number 18, and it is all Avengers all the time. It's lots of Avengers miniseries and one shots and things like that. And we're going to have a good time with that. Please like and subscribe and comment. Let me know anything you'd like to see. If you'd like for me to open up any of the little packs of comics I have, and I can show off what we've got inside there, I'm happy to do it. And I'm glad you're here. It's the 4th of July, so let's set off some fireworks. All right, we're starting with Avengers Classic. This series reprinted the first 12 or so issues of the Avengers series, and usually had a backup story and some stuff like that in there. Beautiful Arthur Adams cover here, doing his best. George Perez, fill the page with a bunch of characters. Work right there. And then we jump to issue 7. Another great storyline with the Avengers going up against the Enchantress and the Executioner, right there. Then we've got kind of a big boy book here, probably because of the appearance of Kang. We've got Avengers Classic number 8. I don't know if it's still a big boy book. It may have settled down since we now know that, or seem to know, that Kang may not be such a big deal in the MCU. We've got issue 9 that reprints the first appearance of Wonder Man. And then that package jumps to the final issue, number 12, with the Avengers going up against Mole Man. And we got the next series, which is Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, number 1. This is another retelling of the early days of the Avengers, whereas that previous one was reprinting the actual stories. This is actually just, starting over and kind of telling some stuff that happens in between. And that goes from issue 1 and finishes with issue 8, where we have Cap leading his pared down foursome of Avengers there. And I guess that must have sold pretty well, because they followed it up with Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes 2. And it's a lot easier to see online, but if you get all this series lined up, the covers, you can see, each cover has a letter of Avengers in it. And again, that's much easier to see if you look at it on the web. And so, but there's the S right there. Looking good. Then we've got a Avengers one-shot, Edge of Infinity, kind of a unofficial tie-in with the MCU right there. They do these things that seem to be in the MCU, but sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. We have Avengers Finale. This came out after the Disassembled arc, if I remember correctly, when the main original Avengers were disassembled, and that would lead into new Avengers. So this is kind of a last breath for that original. Now here we're beginning this Avengers Forever series, which was a series by Kurt Busiek and Carlos Pacheco, and it was a time travel kind of adventure with the Avengers. And this is the Westfield Comics variant. I was a Westfield Comics customer at that time, and they had their own store variant for this cover. So that's, you may not see this one all the time, because you had to be a Westfield customer to get that. Of course, it being a time travel adventure, it included Kang. Here we got the regular issue 2 of that, with Avengers from all sorts of time periods, and Avengers Forever number 6, with, a Cap from the past seeing, something going wrong with the future Avengers. We've got issue number 8, with, it had long been said, there had always been a sort of a paradox that it was said that the Vision was built from the body of the original Human Torch, but then the original Human Torch came back. And so this series kind of does some timey-wimey stuff to suggest that yes, that they both are actually true at the same time. But that's issue 8. And then that series ends with issue 12, with our cool multi-time frame team getting busy. Then that title was used again a few years ago for Avengers Forever. We mentioned this in a previous video. This was a kind of a crossover with just lots of multiversal Avengers from across the multiverse. The All Avengers Assemble, getting together to deal with Mephisto. And here in Avengers Forever 4, that included the 3 daughters of Thor that we had seen in previous Thor series, showing up to be the Thors of their particular set of Avengers. We've got number 5, Doom, being Doomsy with other Dooms. We've got issue 8 with a kind of a ragtag version of Thor. We've got issue 9 with Carol Danvers, kind of in front of all of the multiversal versions of Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel. One thing I didn't like about this series is it sort of just made it seem like that the current membership was some sort of perfect group that every other universe in the multiverse, had. So, the idea that there wouldn't be a universe where it was just still Mar-Vell, where he didn't die or whatever, just seemed a little weird to me. Oh, and then that concludes with, appropriately enough, issue 15 with a Alex Ross Timeless Kang cover right there. Then we've got this Avengers Halloween special from a few years ago. Marvel not doing quite as many Halloween specials as they did, or as DC does, but okay, they did that one for that one. Got the short-lived Avengers Inc. with the Wasp and a sort of not really the Vision, but kind of the Vision character looking into a mystery. And that started with issue 1, and unfortunately it did not do well, and ended with issue 5. But it ended with a storyline that brought back Hank Pym, and he had aged while he was gone, so now he kind of looks more like the MCU Hank. We've got Avengers Infinity, so kind of a cosmic Avengers tale. Avengers in space. We got Quasar, Tigra, who's always effective, especially in space. Captain Marvel / Photon / Spectrum. And that series ended with issue 4. Of course, this was written by Roger Stern, classic Marvel writer, and everybody's getting in touch with their inner eternity there. Then we got some pretty stuff. We've got Avengers Invaders. So the Avengers go back in time and hang out with the invaders during World War II. A lot of the covers by Alex Ross. This was a for some rights reasons, I think having to do with the artist. Dynamite Publishing was involved, but beautiful stuff by Alex Ross. We got issue 8, which maybe not the most beautiful cover because it's just a big bunch of fire, but got the human torching right there. We've got issue 9 for those of you who collect swastika covers. They're going up against the Red Skull and that ends in issue 12 with everybody, including all of these classic World War II heroes, banding together to save the day in issue 12. There was a free little sketchbook thing that came out around that time. Is this a flip book? No, sometimes there's a flip books, but this one is just straight up, just Avengers Invaders sketchbook. So we got that. All right, now the classic Avengers, the classic JLA Avengers crossover. Issues 1 and 3 are technically named JLA Avengers. Issues 2 and 4 are technically named Avengers JLA, reflecting which company actually published each book. So this is one of those times when I just really went strict, and when we get to the other box, we'll find the other 2 books. But right now we've got issue number 2 of Avengers JLA. Beautiful George Perez. And we've got the much seen classic Superman with Thor's hammer and Cap's shield on Avengers JLA number 4. We've got this Avengers Log, which I think was another with a George Perez cover, which I think was another kind of just short, list of the characters and a little blurb about each one, letting you know who they were. Yeah, check out that back cover, man. George Perez, R.I.P. I probably say that in every video. Avengers Loki Unleashed, another kind of one-shot written by a classic Marvel artist that came out recently. Not sure what's going on behind the scenes with that, but got Loki going up against the Avengers. He's unleashed. Okay, here's one I haven't finished. Gotta get the rest of these, but found these in the dollar box fairly recently. Avengers 1959, so some of the Marvel characters, not necessarily the most noble of characters in all cases, including such as Sabretooth, but banding together in 1959 as a sort of team, and written and mostly drawn by Howard Chaykin. And I've just got issues 1 and 2 of that one. Got the rest on my want list. Right. Avengers No Road Home. So this one actually started over at 1, so I gave it its own section. It was included Voyager, who had been temporarily retroactively stuck in as an Avengers member from the beginning. And we start there. We go to issue 5 with a very scary looking Hulk right there. Just tied in with the what was it, Avengers Unleashed, whatever it was that we looked at in the previous video. That included the first appearance of the Immortal Hulk. This did include Marvel had gotten the rights back for Conan, so we have a Conan appearance hanging out with the Scarlet Witch. Remember that not going well because he does not like witches and warlocks, but they got over it. And we go to issue 10 and the final issue of Avengers No Road Home, which resolves the issue at hand. You got Ewing, Zub, Wade. You got a lot of teamwork on this series. We've got a one-shot for the Avengers 1 million BC, showing this classic group that had been seen in the main book as being back in prehistoric times, the first Avengers team. Funny story is, I think somebody pointed out that there weren't actually humans around at 1 million BC, and so they had to work that into the storyline to explain where the humans were coming from, that there was some sort of time shenanigans there. Let's see, Avengers Prime. I believe this was after that Avengers finale that we looked at a little while ago. It was kind of a, here's the top three, Steve Rogers, Thor, and Iron Man getting out there and having an adventure together. And we have issue number 1. Well, actually, it takes place after Siege, doesn't it? It's a Siege aftermath. So we got issue 1, and I think they end up in Asgard, and that's why they have to, work out some with local materials to get geared back up. So great art by Alan Davis right there. So next we have Avengers Spotlight number 21. This series starts off as solo Avengers, and then somebody decides, hey, we need to name, and this will happen later with West Coast Avengers, we need to rename all the books so Avengers is at the start so that they'll all get put on the stands right next to each other. And which I can support that. So Avengers Spotlight, we've, at this point, was a Hawkeye book with a backup in each story of another Avenger back there. So we got Hawkeye going up against the Orb and some Star Fox, and then that continues into 24 with Hawkeye going up against his former teacher, Quickshot, Trick Shot, yep, and some other folks like that. Can't wait to see the appearance of Bobcat. And then let's see, we got Rick Jones versus the Aliens here in issue 25. Got Hawkeye going up against somebody else who is a marksman. And we go to 28 with this Al Milgrom cover, I believe, or Don Heck rather, cover here. You must be getting desperate. And a Wonder Man backup on there. Acts of Vengeance, where the villains, people were fighting villains they don't normally fight. And we've got issue 29 with Rick Leonardi, so you went the other direction on that. Although that's certainly an artist who's not known for Avengers, but that would be part of Acts of Vengeance. Is Iron Man goes up against Claw and Wizard, who are normally Fantastic Four villains. And we got Avengers Spotlight 32, starring Hawkeye. We've got some early U.S. Agent appearances in here, by the way. If you are a fan of John Walker, U.S. Agent, you might want to look into these. We've got Hawkeye going up against the Terminizer. We got Avengers Spotlight 33 with some more U.S. Agent in there in the back. We've got 36. At this point, it kind of became a, let's retell the origins of several, or give a solo, really give a single solo, not an origins, but a reboot of several of the characters, kind of reestablish who they are and try to make them more marketable. So Hawkeye gets some cool armor that he wore. He actually wore it throughout the series because he got shot really bad. And I don't know that we actually saw it for any ever again. But we got Steve Lytle on the art on the cover of that. And Lytle continues. We've got Dr. Druid kind of going from older and dumpy to getting more younger and buff for a few appearances here in Avengers Spotlight 37. And we've got the Vision. I'm trying to remember what happens here. I know he's in his white phase here, and I think this is where they're kind of getting towards, but he hadn't gotten his new body. I can't remember, but focus on the Vision here. If you're a big Vision fan, maybe a big White Vision fan, you want number 40. All right, alphabetically speaking, the next we have is the Avengers Standoff, Assault on Pleasant Hill. This was the series involving the sort of sentient cosmic cube that would eventually lead into the evil Steve Rogers Hydra guy. And that there's 3 issues involved. They're not like 1 through 3. There's like 3 just one-shots. But Avengers Standoff, Welcome to Pleasant Hill, right there with that cover. Then we've got Avengers Strike File. Probably another just letting you know who all the Avengers are kind of series right there. Looking at the back, I think that's what that was. We have Avengers The Children's Crusade #1, really starting to develop the young Avengers that had been already brought out, and kind of giving them some more time. And that's a pretty cover right there. That's some big boy book for some reason. Some more Avengers The Children's Crusade. Is it Mike Chung, Steve Chung? I forget his name, but some pretty art by him. We've got issue 5 on there with Jack of Hearts, who had gotten kind of killified, unalived, and I think he's brought back temporarily here. And we've got issue 6, just the Avengers all standing around looking Avengery. Cat looking beast there. And we go to 9. So we've got the sort of suggestion that Scarlet Witch might want to shack up with Doctor Doom, and that kind of thing going on. And that series had kind of a one-shot. I think it came out during it. So it was Young Avengers Special, or Young Avengers The Children's Crusade Special, or whatever, with Kang and a sort of Avengers of the Future right there. Female Hawkeye. And we go to back when we were looking at the Avengers Assemble. We noted the Avengers The Enemy Within crossover. So this was a one-shot that was part of that crossover right there. And then we go to Avengers The Initiative. So the Avengers and the world has decided that all the superheroes need to register and get trained. And so the initiative was, the Avengers tracking, which hero was in each state and making sure that everybody was registered and under control. So that's written by Dan Slott. We've got, I believe I recall there being there's another A cover or a B cover that goes with that. We've got a beauty of a World War Hulk crossover, issue 4, with the little trainees going up against the Hulk. That's not going to go well. Got that crossover continues into issue number 5. But hey, as long as you've got the Tiger, or Bronze Tiger, or whatever his name was. I know DC has a Bronze Tiger. I can't remember if that's what that guy's name is. And some a spider guy, and that kind of thing. I'm sure everything would go fine. That's 5. Here in 8, we could hey, you've got some trainees. Got with Stingray. I like Stingray's suit. But you've got a little some fighting going on between some former Ant-Man versus current Ant-Man. There, I think that was when we found out, spoilers, that new Ant-Man was a bad guy. Issue 9. We've got the Taskmaster being brought in to do some training. I remember Thor Girl was the dumbest name ever. If you think a woman calling herself Thor is bad, think about a girl calling herself Thor Girl. But anyway, 9. Then we go to 12 with, I guess, Iron Man going up against another suit of armor. I guess, well, that must be Rhodey, because there's just little rockets right there. Issue 12. And we've got a little change in, I think the change in writer, and just another focus, just a little focusing on some of these other potential superheroes and getting them trained up. In issue 13. Here in issue 16, we've got the bringing back the Skrull kill crew during Secret Invasion. These were people who had, if you recall, the original fight in the 60s between the Fantastic Four and the Skrulls. Mr. Fantastic resolved it by hypnotizing these Skrulls into turning into cows and staying that way and forgetting they were Skrulls. Well, guess what happens to cows? They get turned into hamburger, and that hamburger got eaten by some people, and that gave them superpowers of various kinds. So we've got the Skrull kill crew, who were an offshoot of that storyline, showing up here. Let's see, we've got issue 17. So Secret Invasion, we found out that the chick we thought was Spider-Woman all this time was actually a Skrull infiltrator, so that's kind of alluding to that. Then we jump to the next crossover with Dark Reign. So we've got Taskmaster and some folks like that. Got Typhoid Mary from Daredevil. Let's see, we've got, this is timely. We've got Avengers The Initiative number 25 with Taskmaster, who is seen briefly in the Thunderbolts movie, and the Hood, who is seen in the Ironheart TV show. So hey, if it's your mid-2025 and you're into that stuff, here you go. This is the issue for you. And then we go to issue 28. I can't remember this guy's name, but he was one of those guys that, bless his heart, he just has ridiculous powers. But he registered, will you? And then that's issue 28. We go to 29. So this whole initiative thing rolled around because the new Warriors arguably messed up and were fighting Nitro, who has the power to blow himself up, and he blew himself up and killed a bunch of people, and the new Warriors get blamed and superheroes get blamed, and that's why they now have to register. And everybody is seeing Speedball this way, but this is actually, he is now called Penance, and he is hurting himself. I think there's spikes inside his suit where he hurts himself on a regular basis, that kind of thing, because he just feels so bad about what he did. And that series ends with the Siege crossover, and got a nice little Tigra shot there, and the team right there ready to move on to the next phase of their lives here after the end of Avengers The Initiative in issue 35. Then we got some one-shots. Again, I don't know why. I think Reptile got pulled into a video game, and so everybody thought he was going to be the next big thing. He wasn't. but they thought he was, and so he got his own special here. Just a general related to Secret Invasion special one-shot of the team from the initiative, the trainees, and and another special from later on in the series with some of those trainees having an adventure. We've got Avengers The Origin, another look at, which actually also by Joe Casey, another look at those early days of the Avengers, and some beautiful Phil Noto covers on that. And we've got issue number 5 of that, so it stays pretty tight on those first few days. We've got Avengers, the Terminatrix objective. So you got John Walker, the knockoff Captain America, Rhodey, the knockoff Iron Man, and Thunderstrike, the knockoff Iron Man, having an adventure together in time. And that concludes with, looks like the originals show up at some point to overshine them, but that ends in issue number 4. Got Avengers Thunderbolts crossover, dealing with the Thunderbolts team right there. Got issue number 1, and then that continues and ends with issue number 6. Kind of the parallels. I guess I think each issue showed, parallel members of each team. We've got Avengers Timeslide from that towards the end of the first series, with a little they were dealing with Kang and finding out some secrets about Iron Man that nobody knew and that everybody ignored afterwards. Oh, check out Thor, man. Check it out. And that's, of course, shiny, whatever you call that. Recent Avengers Twilight series, just a little taking place in a possible future. Things have kind of grown. Didn't go the way they should have in American history, and some of the Avengers have to return, straighten things out, which sounds familiar. That was issue 1. We've got issue 2 as a big boy book. I'm not sure if it's just that everybody loves that Iron Man cover, which it is pretty. We've got the rest. We've got issue 3 with grown-up Ms. Marvel, and book 6 with grown-up Incredible Hulk, as viewed by Alex Ross. We've got Avengers 2, Wonder Man and the Beast. So these were 2 Avengers who were buddies. They maintained a friendship, and of course Wonder Man spends most of his time with Avengers, and Beast also spends his time with the X-Men, so the boys are back and hanging out. And that was actually a 3-issue series. I thought it should be a 2-issue series since it's Avengers 2, but here's Avengers 2, number 3, going up against it, the Living Colossus. Always a good time when fighting a giant animated statue. Got Avengers Ultra Force, when the Avengers are teaming up with or meeting the Ultra Force team from Malibu Comics, little company crossover there, which of course Marvel may have bought Malibu at this point, but they're still treated as a separate universe. We've got Avengers Ultron Forever. There are there's like a new Avengers, Ultron Forever, and whatever the Avengers series were at that time. Uncanny Avengers, Ultron Forever. This is the issue 1, and this is, apparently it's a variant, and this is the 1 minute later variant where they take a classic cover and show, okay, and then what's exactly the next thing that happened. So that's the classic cover, and then just Thor going down to Pound Town on Ultron right there. Then we've got this little bundle of joy, which is Avengers Undercover, which began the sort of the end of the trinity that was Avengers Academy, Avengers, the one from last time, Avengers, that would have all the kids on the island. This is, I think, before that. Dennis Hopeless, doing his story with the young characters. So we have Deathlocket again here, and that series has issue 1 and finishes up in issue 10 right there. So we got Avengers Unplugged, John from Bronze and Modern Gods' favorite title to put, or at the time, given he just like, why is it unplugged? Well, it was the 90s, and MTV Unplugged was a big deal, so it just seemed like a good adjective to throw on there. But we've got the Avengers muscling up, and of course these were 99 cents. It still didn't sell that well, so for those who say if they only made them cheaper they would sell better, not necessarily true. But that's the first issue, and that goes through issue 6. We have the Proctor is the guy who took over the sort of magical sword of the Black Knight. It became Blood Wraith, and he is more out of control than the Black Knight. And we go to just Avengers Versus, kind of a one-shot showing the Avengers going up against various foes. Notice it only has people who are prominent in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to try to bring in some of those people. Then we go to Avengers Vs Atlas. So the Avengers going up against the Agents of Atlas, which was the characters that had come from the 1950s Marvel. That has issue 1. Goes through issue 4. We've got the Uranian, the former Marvel boy. Namora, Wasp, looking good. Then we go to Avengers vs X-Men. So I think the last video we had Avengers and X-Men Axis. I think this is, this was technically Avengers versus X-Men, thus the alphabetizing. The Avengers and X-Men getting upset with each other over what they're going to do about the fact that the Phoenix is returning to Earth, and what are they going to avoid it, or are they going to embrace it? What are they going to do? So issue 0 here, actually, through issue 7 right there. Again, with some Coipel. I'll just say it horribly badly. Coipel art on there. T-Bear. We've got issue 8 with Namor, still not wearing a shirt, wearing as little a shirt as possible. We had the augmented reality at the time. This was the thing. If you're not familiar with it, you could hold your phone up to it, put an app up, put a phone up to it, and you would see some additional. You would get, basically, it's kind of like a QR code. It would send you some additional content. And that ends with round 12 issue of AVX right there. Good, Iron Man. Got Avengers War Across Time, covers and art by Alan Davis. Kind of another adventure of the classic Avengers team, written by Paul Levitz, who is actually a sort of classic DC writer, but he likes his Marvel, and he did this mini-series a few years ago. And we start with issue 1. And again, as you would expect with any War Across Time, we're going to involve Kang, and we're going to see some other Avengers from times that are not included in the time that we started with. But, good time. Does it work? And now we go to. So remember what I talked about? Avengers Spotlight. Same thing here. We had West Coast Avengers. Got renamed to Avengers West Coast with issue 48. John Byrne doing the writing and art. So we're getting into that Scarlet Witch losing her dang mind, which was of course adapted heavily for WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness. We've got issue 48 of that. We've got issue 51 right there. Got the Human Torch and the Vision on the same team, but I thought they were the same body, right? No, they're not. Got U.S. Agent John Walker, again, if you're a fan of that. And Tony Stark is returning as Iron Man. He had been having some issues. 52, Master Pandemonium reveals that, spoilers, the children of the Scarlet Witch and the Vision were not really real. They were just demons that that were under his control, and he comes and he sucks them back up, and they don't appreciate that very much. Then we go to issue 55, Acts of Vengeance, which is normally heroes fighting villains they don't normally fight, which of course this is we're seeing the Avengers fighting Loki, so I don't know what's going on there, because he's pretty much a normal guy for them to fight, but there's a reason. Still John Byrne art. Make sure I can get all these in the back in the box. More Scarlet Witch losing her mind, and Avengers West Coast 56. Hank Pym doing his I'm just Dr. Pym now, scientist, adventurer. Avengers West Coast 60. Scarlet Witch making up with her on again, off again dad. Paul Ryan on art. Not necessarily as exciting as John Byrne, but he got the job done. Let's see. Got 61. Wanda tying in with Immortus, who's the sort of the Kang. Is Immortus Kang? Kang is Immortus. They're the same guy at different points in his life. And he is bringing back some people that the Avengers thought were dead. Which is always weird, because sooner or later the people you think are dead will just turn up not to be dead. But that was 61. 64, we've got kind of just a fill-in here on Dwyer, I believe. Art on that. Captain America having an adventure with the original Human Torch, because of course they knew each other back in World War II. 65, the Grim Reaper back. He is the brother of Simon Williams, the Wonder Man, so they have some family issues to deal with. Issue 68. I think, if I remember correctly, Grim Reaper teams up with Ultron, so that's why it's the Reaper and the Robot. The West Coast team dealing with that. Got Big Pack 69. Hawkeye versus you. They've been getting each other's face this whole time. Hawkeye doesn't like John Walker. John Walker doesn't like Hawkeye. They've been mouthing off at each other, and so finally it's just like, okay, we're going down. We're gonna fight this out, just mano a mano, and it doesn't go well for Hawkeye actually. And then 76, we get the Night Shift, which was a bunch of the sort of characters from the old Spider-Woman series that was set in LA, so it was natural with the West Coast Avengers to bring them in, even though now we've got a different Spider-Woman than the other Spider-Woman. So, infamous monsters of Filmland. We've got Avengers West Coast 77 with the Night Shift and one of your knockoff Satans from the Marvel Universe. Hey, Living Lightning. He's a cool guy. And they're dealing with them. And last but not least for this box, we will finish this series off in the next box. Avengers West Coast number 80, part of Operation Galactic Storm, an early part. And we've got the Kree and the Shi'ar going up against the Avengers. So good times, good times. All right, that's box 18. Next time we'll do box 19, which we will finish up Avengers West Coast, and we will do a few more Avengers things, and then we will eventually get to some Batgirl. So we will finish up the A's in the next video, and we will get into the next set. So thanks very much for being here. I really appreciate it, and I hope you'll come back again. Have a great day.